What's going on, everybody? We are back with another episode of Working Title, where we bring in two people to give me a movie pitch on something that I gave them, some random genre, topic, thing, person, etc., etc. As you're looking on the bottom screen here, you can see what I gave them today. It is a fantasy movie. Please don't make it be a ludicrous type fantasy movie, because I don't think I want to hear what that is for either of you. No offense. I want you to add a fortress in here. I want there to be a feather. I've actually gotten this before in one of my screenwriting things. So I'm curious to see what you guys are going to do. Peggy is clearly still bitter about last week. I get it, Peggy. Sorry. Tony won. It's not a big deal. Maybe another time. So for today, we have two of what I think are some of the best storytellers in the fan leagues. They always have a story. They can always talk, and they can always give like a really good, interesting topic. So we're going to see what's going to happen here. First up, and who will be giving the pitch first, is Joe, wearing a hat. Yeah. Joe, how you doing today? You ready to do this?
I am doing great. I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to, as Sober Joe, read what High Joe wrote.
That is what I am super excited for, because I wonder if you even remember what you wrote in some of this. So that'll be fun to see. The other competitor we have here, everyone knows him and everyone has seen him around in numerous different leagues. We have Garth coming in. Garth, how you doing today?
All right, pretty good. I'm looking forward to this. This is my first time on this particular show, and we'll be arguing about our fantasy films, and you might call it a fantasy film fight, maybe.
I believe that's copywritten, and please don't get me sued, Garth. I know the other two people, and I don't need that juju on me. But it's going to be a fantasy movie pitch, not a fantasy. I'm not going to say the other ones, fancy FF, because I'm sure there's a trademark or something I'm not trying to break here. And they're also both sitting here in the comments.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Don't break any trademarks.
That's why I made the joke.
I like it though. Anyway, so here we go. For the first thing we're going to do is called Hit Me With Your Best Plot. You're both going to have 5 minutes to tell me your plot. Give me your acts 1, 2, 3. You can give me any plot twists you have going on, any major episodes and major things that happen in there. That's what I want to hear. Don't worry about your cast. Don't worry about who's playing who. We'll get that to the next round. Joe was the first one in the stream today, and he decided to go first. So you're both just going to stay in here. I'm not going to kick anyone out. Just listen. Make sure you pay attention to there. So later, when you guys battle this out, you can tell me what's good and bad about his. Namely, Garth for you. What's bad about his, so you can try to win. So, Joe, when you start talking, I will start your 5-minute timer, and so you don't waste any time. So whenever you're ready, you go ahead.
All right. Our movie opens on a group of 3 friends, Shane, Damien, and Courtney. Man, I named them after Smosh people. Sitting around a campfire sharing stories and memories. Damien shares the last memory he has of his mom and her passion of collecting bird feathers. Sadly, she passed away before she could get a California condor feather. The 3 friends decide to go on a road trip from Washington all the way to California in hopes of finding a feather to bring back to Damien's mother's grave. The trip is going well until their car breaks down near an old Presidio, and they get out and go into the Presidio. A Presidio is an old Spanish fort that was used to ward off pirates. So they were placed in like mountains and coastal side towns. So that's where the fortress comes into play. So they go in hoping that it's, a little tourist attraction, and they're looking around and they can't find anyone, can't seem to talk to anyone. And so they go to head back to their car, and suddenly the doors of the Presidio slam shut and a blue light just illuminates the entire area. And when it dissipates, the Presidio is all of a sudden in pristine condition, just like we are back in the 16th century. And they have no idea what's going on. Then they're just like, well, this is weird, but maybe it's just maybe we've been driving a while. We're tired. So they go to open the doors and they can't open them. They are locked and there's no keys anywhere. And then they hear laughing and they turn around, and on the balcony, there is a Spanish soldier, and he tells them, there's no way out of here, my young friends. And he teleports down to them. And he starts explaining how anyone who enters the Presidio is forced to stay there for eternity because it was built on some sacred land for the secret land of the native tribe that was there, and that you only have 2 choices: is to either live your days out there or just die, or just kill yourself and die, and then that's the only way. You either live there forever or you die. There is no way out. So Shane, being like the muscle-headed jock of the situation, he goes and he just starts trying to attack this guy, yelling, no, dude, this isn't funny at all. What the fuck are you doing to us? And it doesn't do anything. Like, this guy just can't, it doesn't do anything. And he's like, oh, there might, and so they're all three of them are freaking out now. Yeah, you want to freak out too, little doggy? And so all three of them are freaking out because they're trapped in this fort now with no way out. But Damien is pretty sure that they can find a way out because Damien is so he's so focused and hyper focused on getting his mom this feather that he's not going to let anything stop him, including being trapped by an old Spanish guy in this fort. And so they start wandering around this fort to kind of, figure out what's going on. And as they travel through the fort, it starts being very weird and interesting because he says that he had told them that no one can leave the fort, but there seems to be no one else in this fort except for him, who keeps taunting them as they're searching around trying to find stuff. And then these weird creatures that are just these weird amalgamations of humans and animals that you would think. So think of the island of Dr. Moreau. Well, that's not fantasy, but so there's these weird panther and human creatures, bears and humans, elk and raccoons and humans, and just these weird amalgamations that are chasing them around. And then the friends start to realize that they're not trapped there, that yes, everyone is trapped there. And so they're trying to figure out how they can free this guy, these people, from this guy who has essentially trapped them there. And then the twist comes in where the guy reveals that the only way that the twist comes in where the guy says, I don't make everyone stay, I will let one person go. And then Damien does a twist where he selfishly says, I have to do this for my mom. And he pretty much says, you can take my two friends and let me go. I have to get back to my mom. And so what happens then is the Spanish soldier says, you fool, you have failed my test. And he takes Damien instead. And that's the twist, is it's not a happy ending because Shane and Courtney are just left there without their friend who has now died. But when he dies, the condor feather is right there and they pick it up. And so they go and finish it for him. But Damien doesn't get that satisfaction of reuniting with his mom because his selfishness of wanting to complete that quest is what caused him to fail in the end.
Wow. All right. That was without a doubt, I feel like one of the most in-depth ones I've heard so far. That was very intense. I really liked it. Had a lot going on, but you definitely had a plan. Hi Joe had a very good plan, it seemed like, going through that. I like the twist that you come up with at the end. You bring in the Feather of the Fortress very well. When you first said there was a Spanish guard sitting on top, I was like, man, if this goes all Monty Python on me, I'm not really sure how I'm going to feel about it. But I really like what you did with everything. The fantasy aspect definitely came in, kind of create a little extra horror aspect to it too, which obviously I'm going to enjoy. I enjoy horror stuff. I liked hearing that. I'm very intrigued to see what Garth's got to go with now, because I really like the pitch. I really like what you have going. Garth, are you ready to go with yours?
Yeah.
All right. Again, your 5 minutes will start whenever you start talking. Then I'll get you going.
Okay, here we go. I don't know if I'll fit it all in 5 minutes, so I'll start with the very elevator pitch. All right, this is going to be a Game of Thrones medieval type movie mixed with the Raid Dread, the Fortress attack movies. All right, here we go. Act 1, town. There's an evil, powerful wizard, Zaxur, lives in a big fortress with a very tall tower. He sends out monsters and soldiers to raid the local town and farms, stealing valuables, their food, killing anyone who resists, generally trashing the towns. The town's mayor has had enough. He decides to hire a group of adventurers to go into the fortress to the top of the tower where the evil wizard lives and kill the wizard and end this tyranny. The town can't afford much of the gold, but they offer them any riches they find in the fortress. gold, jewels, etc., magic items, and they entice the group by mentioning the fabled phoenix feather, the prized possession of the wizard. It's a flaming phoenix feather that grants one wish to one person, and that's the prized possession of the wizard. He's saving it for something very important. He doesn't want to use it. Act 2, we get the party of adventurers. We have the Red Knight, a mysterious person who doesn't talk much, just kind of grunts and groans, never takes off their helmet. Then we have Phelan, a half-elf cleric female. Then we have Sandor, a human wizard, kind of frail but very powerful with his magic. Then we have Fallen Leaf, a human rogue monk. Basically, he kicks butt. Okay, so they go into the fortress. They battle through the fortress. Act 2 is all sorts of great battle scenes with all sorts of a variety of orcs, goblins, a minotaur, some trolls. They encounter traps, some other creatures like, from D&D, like gelatinous slimes, things like that. All using their various attributes. The cleric helps heal and fights. Fighter fights, has a magic glowing sword. The wizard has very powerful spells, and the monk is just bouncing off the walls, kicking butt, basically from the raid. And they go up level by level, just like in the raid and Dread. As you see each level, they get closer to the top, closer to the top, closer to the top. They battle themselves, healing along the way with help from the cleric and healing potions. They get hurt a lot, but they survive. And during all of this second act, you can tell that the cleric has a thing for the Red Knight. She's infatuated with him. They finally get to the top, and they encounter the wizard. They're finally there, and they encounter the evil wizard Zaxur at the top. It's a fierce battle. The wizard casting spells left and right, even with the four of them attacking him from all different fronts. The knight and the monk get in some good physical blows. The wizard gets in some spells and counter spells. It's a real drag down fight. The cleric's trying to heal them along the way, and it goes back and forth, and then finally the Red Knight gets in there with his magic sword and gets in a good plunge in and gets the wizard in the heart. As the wizard is dying, he mumbles his last breath, one last spell, and his body explodes in this bright light, encompassing the Red Knight as well. And they both disintegrate into a couple piles of ashes. The Red Knight is totally dead. Cleric won't be able to resurrect from that pile of ashes. And then we, in this moment of dread where they're looking over the body, they look around the room finally and see all the riches, all the stuff over the years he's gathered, all the magic items, gold, and on the top of his throne is a flaming phoenix feather. The cleric grabs the phoenix feather off the top after the monk and the magician disable the traps, their physical traps and magical traps that they disable. So she's able to get the feather. She mumbles to herself, makes a wish, brings the Red Knight back to life. Red Knight is lying there. She removes the Red Knight's helmet to reveal the Red Knight was a woman all along. The cleric says, "I've always loved you. I couldn't live without you." Kisses her. End of movie.
All right. Awesome. Both of these are really good. There's a lot of thought put into both these, which I really appreciate. They're both very different, which is also great. You got one that's a little more just starts in the modern times, goes back, creates a little horror with the fantasy with Joe's, which I really like. Garth really brought a lot into it. It feels I've I've never played it, but it feels kind of like what I've heard, like a D&D type thing. And I love the raid and Dread with the going up the levels, which definitely could create a really interesting and a really fun movie with a lot of action scenes, a lot of set pieces, stuff like that. So two very different ideas. I like both the ways you guys use the feathers. I like both ways you use Fortress, just using it as the main aspect of the whole thing. This is going to be tough. So next, what I want to hear is we're going to do the casting call. I'm going to want to hear who you have playing all these parts that might help me decide if this is going to be the movie that I want to greenlight. Joe, you went first with the pitch, so we're going to switch sides. I'm going to let Garth go first with the cast. Give me a couple of your main characters, a couple of your supporting, and if you have one, director. You've probably seen me do trivia. I might not know who the director is, and if I don't, just maybe give me a movie or two he's in, because you've seen me. I don't know them. Go ahead, whenever you're ready.
Do we also give our title?
Oh, if you have a title for it, absolutely. There's not a lot of people.
I actually looked up to see, and there are many movies that are titled just Fortress or The Fortress. There's, of course, Kurosawa's Hidden Fortress that Star Wars was loosely based on. But anyways, so my title is Fortress of the Phoenix. And my cast will be Zoe Kravitz as Phelan, the half-elf cleric. Charlize Theron as the Red Knight.
That's always a win.
Dev Patel as Sandor the Wizard. The Wizard of the Party. Tony Jaa as Fallen Leaf, the rogue monk. And Sir Ben Kingsley will be playing Zaxxor the Evil Wizard. And then for others, I have Bill Nighy as Mayor Thrombell, the mayor of the town that hires the party. And other supporting actors and townfolk I've got in mind: Karen Gillan, Michael Pena for a comedic role, and Doug Jones, who's usually behind, he's usually in costume and stuff, so he can play some of the things going on there.
Okay, excellent.
And for the director, I'm going to go with someone I really like, Patty Jenkins. She's directed Monster, Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman 1984 so far, and I think she'd have fun with a medieval movie.
All right, I actually do know that director. I really like the cast. The cast definitely, every time you said one, it kind of fit. I could see where everyone was going. Tony Jaa, I love Tony Jaa. All his movies I love. They're great. Yeah, very good. I like everyone. I can see every single role that you said. I can see that actor in it, which is definitely important. Joe, if you have a title, great. If you don't worry about it. Really, this is more of the casting stuff. So if you have a title, let me know. If not, who you got playing?
I don't have a title, so I have Tyler Posey from Teen Wolf fame as Shane, the strong, the musclehead guy. I have Pete Davidson playing Damien, because Pete Davidson, I think, because he has a lot, because of who he is as a person, like trying to be funny, but also having a connection to familial ties, but switching up from his dad being someone he lost in real life to a mom in this movie, I think would translate very well. I have Florence Pugh rounding out as Courtney. I love her as an actor. I think she does really good in horror roles as well. I have Antonio Banderas as the Spanish soldier, the guy who, like, the spirit of the Spanish soldier, who's like kind of using these weird stuff to manipulate the world around him, and then to kind of also be there because I really like her in horror movies, and I think it would be really good. I put Toni Collette as Damien's mom, because I think that would just be really cool. Like, put her in a little bit of sprinkling, and I think, as we can see, that this isn't a pure horror movie. That it deals more with themes of horror and existentialness and family and loss and selfishness. So I think we're gonna go with Ari Aster, from Midsummer, and
You did Hereditary too, right?
yeah, Hereditary, and then his short film, The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. I think what he explores with family and just thematic and using horror as kind of a backdrop for exploring the human condition and human emotions and stuff like selfishness and doing anything to get what you want. I think that would be very cool to explore within this. So that's kind of what I'm going with that. I think those would round out, and then because I want it to kind of be, I only cast those five because I want it to be small, kind of tight knit, like do a lot of prosthetics and just a lot of unknown and a lot of contortionists and acrobatic performers for people who will be the hybrid creatures, so that way we can get really cool visuals from them when we get to interact with them and see them.
Awesome. I really like that. When you kind of going with Toni Collette, I had a feeling you were going to go with the Ari Aster as the director. But his movies are good. You're right; they're not straight horror all the time. There's a lot of more themes behind it. That is what you're doing. Some of these are interesting. Pete Davidson is not how I was picturing Damien as you were saying it, but after you said it, I could see him being the kind of selfish person in the end, the person that you said has those family ties and just really wants that. Antonio Banderas, that was awesome. That's a great. I like that. I would not have expected it, but I really like.
I went with that because I wanted an actual Spanish actor to play a Spanish soldier, and with him being a Spanish actor, I was just, and I think because he's also a very proud Spaniard, so I think he would be able to do the role justice without taking it into a caricature of it.
Yeah, makes sense to me. I like it. He can make himself a caricature, but if he takes the role seriously, I think he would be fantastic in it. Man, you guys are not making this easy, because I would 100% watch the crap out of both of these movies like numerous times. They're very good. They're very thought out. Definitely, I've done this a couple times. These are two of the more thought out ones that I've heard. All the casting is very good. I can see everybody in the role. The directors are solid. So I'm going to need your help, because I'm going to need you to tell me why the other movie is no good. You guys, whenever you want to start, go try not to talk over somebody, but there's no time. I'm not going to interrupt you unless I have a question. Just going to kind of let you go. It might be tough to find something wrong with these, because these are really good, but I want to hear what you got. Whenever you guys want to go.
So my first thing with Garth is when he was pitching it, with it being more of a dungeon crawl, I would envision it more as a TV series than I would a movie. I think it would be better if it was paced out longer, more, instead of just like the fact that you could get more in a 2-hour movie. I think that with how his story is formatted, that it would do more justice if you did it over like 10-hour-long episodes instead of just one movie. So I think that's one of his business weaknesses, is he's gone kind of a little bit too big with the scope. So he would have to piece it up differently than just a straight 2-hour movie.
Well, and I disagree, because obviously it's been proven the Raid Redemption, Dread, etc. You can pack a lot into a movie, going up those levels, fighting and all that. The beginning part with the town and townsfolk and all that, that's very quick. That's like 10. That can be 10, 15 minutes. The rest of the movie is all the fortress and battling up and defeating the wizard in the end. So you could have 2 hours of that, and 2 hours is plenty of time to tell all that.
But with 2 hours of just fighting up an entire building, that's a lot of style over substance. While it would look very cool, I don't think there would be a lot of meat to it until you got into the third act with the ending of it. And I think that kind of you're from what you were saying, is a lot of the emotional weight would be towards the end of the movie. And when you do that and you push all of it towards the end, it makes a lot harder for people to get into your movie and actually want to be connected with your characters. Because while yes, there's a townsfolk that we have, there's some issues with going in the townsfolk, and there's an evil wizard that with you want to introduce the adventurers, and you're not introducing them until the second act. That's not going to give us a lot of time with them.
No, but the second act was only 15 minutes in. The first 15 minutes is showing the wizard raiding the town, the damage he's doing. The adventurers come in like 10 minutes in, maybe. And as far as what you assumed, I only had 5 minutes. But during that whole 2 hours of the fortress, battling through and all that, there are rest moments. There are calm moments where the party is healing up and resting, and they talk to each other, and the characters are revealed, and it's revealed that, as I said, the cleric is infatuated with the Red Knight, showing her affection for the Red Knight. And so there is more character development. It's not just fight. There are going to be lulls and pauses where they're like, we barely survived that, and undoing traps and stuff. There's going to be witty banter and things like that. There's more to it. And as for your movie, to critique it a bit, It sounds more like horror than fantasy. I understand supernatural is a fantasy, but it sounds more like, this ghost who kills a kid in a haunted place. It sounds more horror than fantasy to me. And it sounds dark. And with the mixed creatures and stuff like that, is there an explanation for that? This is a Spanish fortress that fought pirates. How do mixed creatures do it?
Well, the fortress is when you're in, is it's going more about the nature and stuff. Because when you're in the mountains, you're really disrupting it. So it's more of the anger of the nature of the nature itself has kind of cursed this place. And in order to get escape from the curse, that's why the Spanish soldiers said, "I will be the caretaker of this." But the spirits of the spirits of the animals that they had unfortunately destroyed because of trying to build this there, they need some place to go. So he was collecting human bodies for the spirits to go into, and using the powers that the ground has given him, since it is cursed, is what he is doing. Well, you can say it's horror. It's not really horror tinged. It's fantasy with a horror tinge, because I think that does a lot better. Fantasy, while it does a lot good on its own, when you add more to it, it creates much more depth than just a straight fantasy. With yours being a straight fantasy, I think it alienates itself from a lot of audiences as well. While fantasy is a very popular thing, with my movie, you're not only going to get fantasy people who are going to come in, you're going to get people who are interested in horror. You're going to get people who are interested in Ari Aster as a director. You're going to get people who are interested in Pete Davidson as an actor.
And mine is not just pure fantasy. As I said, it's action adventure. As I equated to the Raid Redemption, Dread, and all that, there's a lot of kick-ass. The fighter is kicking ass. The monk is kicking ass. There's a lot of one-on-one combat with creatures and various evil soldiers working for the wizard. So it's going to appeal to a lot of people more than just. It's not going to be a straight like D&D Dragons movie.
But the thing is, with how you pitched it, it did feel very much like it would be something of that a D&D audience would very get into, and then just going back with your saying that because of mine being more of a horror, that it takes away from the fantasy. With yours, then you kind of negated your own argument when you brought up that yours is an action adventure as well, because yours is also a blend of genres. But something I wanted to talk about was the lulls of rest. With the ability to heal throughout this going on, it really lowers the stakes, because how am I supposed to connect and feel that these people are in any real danger when you have a cleric who can heal them and they have potions that can heal each other, that can heal each other as they're going on this combat. While
they can still get killed, they can still, if they get more damage than the cleric can heal, or something else happens, and there's going to be close calls during the movie. There's going to be many times where someone is down and out, and the cleric brings them back from the brink of death.
But what you're saying with that is, there's going to be many times, and the cleric keeps bringing them back, that's actually going to start losing the weight as we go on in the movie, because you're creating that whole sense where every time that someone's down and out and you think they're down and out, the cleric's just bringing them right back up until the end. And because of that, what you've shown earlier in your movie, that twist at the end shows that this is what they're going to do. They're going to do something to bring the Red Knight back. That twist very much with what you were talking about in the movie with the cleric bringing people back. Well, yes, you have brought up that they can't bring him back from incineration. You have also established that the Phoenix Feather can grant any wish. So that has given the expectation right there that is more than likely what the Phoenix Feather is going to be used for. And when you create something, a twist, well, a good twist can be seen when you go back on a rewatch, you can see it coming. But with your twist, you see it coming right from the get-go that is what is going to happen.
Okay, and for yours, I can kind of see it coming when he's with the test. That's another one where that seems predictable to me. Like, only one of you can leave, and the kid says, "Let me go. Take my two friends." You know it's not going to work out well for him. You know the ghost isn't going to be like, "Well, then you go, and I'll take your two friends." That's not going to happen.
But you don't know if he's going to keep all three of them or one, because typically in horror movies, it's when someone does the selfish decision everyone pays for it. It's not just the person who has made the selfish decision who is paying for it. So that's where the twist is different from your standard horror movie twist. And just going along with yours, when you say Game of Thrones, I think a lot of people are Game of Thrones out at this point, because of what we got in the last season of Game of Thrones. So pitching something as Game of Thrones and people are going to see it and just be like, is it going to be like last season Game of Thrones? And that might turn them away from it. And just the Fortress and Raid style movies, while they are very interesting to look at, there are a lot of style over substance. And with what you want in fantasy, while you want it to look cool, what really gets to be part of fantasy is just the believable world around it. And when you're talking about a raid boss movie and just coming up the levels, you really don't get to build a world around it other than the fortress yourself. While my fantasy stuff doesn't come in and tell the fortress, we are creating the world. We are creating these character developments. We're creating a drama and a friendship and just a simple three characters who have a common goal shared together. And then the fantasy world explores around them, with yours already taking place in a fantasy world, but then going away from that to just one specific area in that fantasy world, it takes away from the larger world outside. And when you're talking about fantasy, you want to be able to build the world. So for you to create an entire fantasy world, but then to go into that fortress, would be detrimental for it. And for mine, the fortress itself is the fantasy world. So that's the world I have to build, and that's the world that has been built.
Okay, well, for me, the fantasy world is within the fortress. The fortress has many magics, many creatures, many fantastical things. It's not like you're missing out. It's not just soldiers.
So correct me if I'm so there's no magic in fantasy outside of the fortress. Then the fortress is the magical place. Like outside is just a regular boring world. Is just a regular boring world.
But you don't explore the whole world in every movie.
But you at least show the world and stuff. And with your only saying, I'm going to show 15 minutes of this world, give people a taste of it, and then take them away from it, that can really alienate people. Because when you want a journey of something, you want to show where they're going to be for a majority. You want to be you've shown them that there's this magical world around them, and then said, take them away from that. Let's just put them in this tower.
Well, no, they're in a magical world in the tower. It's part of that world. It's not a separate thing. It's not like they enter the tower and it's all boring in there. That's part of
what I'm saying. I'm saying
I get the idea Garth's going for. Garth's saying it is a magical world. There is a in the tower. He is causing havoc. When they go in the tower, it just is. There's a little extra. There are other creatures. I see where Garth's going. I wouldn't get too when coming through this. Don't get too hung up on the term fantasy of making sure that the genre is hit for this. It's just an idea. I just want something that has a general fantasy element to it, which both of you hit. I understand, Garth, what you're saying. His is more horror. He hits a little bit of a fantasy element, but there's a lot.
I'm not saying. I'm not saying.
No. Yours is very fantastical, which is great, and it's awesome. You guys, I just didn't want you to keep going back and forth on genre, because if you're going to really do something, I go more. I would. What you guys are saying makes sense to me. I understand what both of you are saying. I was going to give you both like one more thing for the other, and then I kind of have an idea, one or two things that I think might have helped the movie that when listening. But I'm going to give you both one or two, because it's you guys are doing great. It's just starting to you guys are going very similar on where you're hitting each other with going back and forth. So I want to hear, Garth, I want to give you like one more shot. Yep. Give me the reason why, just straight up, why yours is better than his. I just want to hear what that is.
All right. Mine has a lot more involved in it. Mine has a lot more variety of creatures, fantasy elements, magic, etc. There's a lot more to explore. There's a lot more characters. He's got his three main friends, the ghost and the mom. And I have only 4 in my adventuring party, but I've also got the evil wizard, the townsfolk, then the soldiers. They're battling the creatures, etc. And I think mine has a lot more scope to it, and mine is also more open to future sequels. This adventuring party could be used in future movies if it does well. While his is kind of a bookend, unless those 2 kids have another ghost experience. His is one and done, while mine has a higher scope. And he pointed out TV series. I think this works well as a great movie. Whether it continues on with movie sequels, it could actually spawn a TV series as well. With other actors filling in the parts. So it has a lot of potential. And with the kids and the fort and all that, and locking the doors, I'll bring up again the creatures thing is not quite explained. It's all these different woodland creatures mixed together. And how does that happen? Why did that happen with the haunted ground? So I'd like him to explore that more, and also let me know if there's a Liger from Napoleon Dynamite.
Joe, it would just go for it. You've given me a lot of it, but I just want one more. Why yours is better than Garth's?
So what makes mine better than Garth's is it explores more of the human condition and more of the human emotions and elements. I'm talking about just friendship and selfishness and what really means more to us. Do we care more about our friends, ourselves, our family? So I think being able to explore just a gambit of human emotions and how they feel within the fantasy world is something that it would be very interesting to be explored, and something that a lot of people would love to see explored in the movie. And while the bookend, I think I wouldn't say it's a bookend, it's tied off in a nice little bow, because not everything needs to be a sequel. Creating this something that has this nice conducive story that concludes on the ending of his friends realizing that just because someone is selfish doesn't mean that you have to be selfish yourself, that they are going to complete the quest for his not for him, but because it's something that his mother would have wanted, is very something. It's cool. And what would make mine better is it shows more of not doing things for selfish reasons or for riches. It's doing stuff because you are being selfless despite the selfishness around you, within not only your own personal selfishness, but the selfishness of those around
you. Okay, perfect. You guys both really, as you guys both said, bookended that very nicely here with what you guys are saying about what the positives and negatives are. Both of these movies, I think, are very good. Both of you really thought out your pitches. Both of you have a lot of details, have a lot of ideas. This is not going to be an easy decision. Again, remember, my decision is just what I think. It means nothing. You both did a fantastic job, and both these stories are excellent. And just kind of what I was thinking when listening to this and some of the debate back and forth, for both of your stories, I feel like to help out just slightly, if you would have added one extra character, Garth, for you, if you would have added one extra person to the party that, as Joe said, you don't really feel the stakes. You don't really feel like anyone's really going down or dying. If you would have added that, the generic, hey, here's the extra guy of the party, make him seem big, but then kill him off. And then you get that extra stake. Then you can feel, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't going to work. Maybe someone here is going to die. But overall, I love the raid. You're right. It is it is going to work as, I feel like, a movie. Like Joe said, I do believe that you said as well, it could be a sequel, but it also might be something that when this is just one movie, I'm just listening to the one movie. I'm not really thinking of, extend it on. This is just the one. This is going to be the same issue I had with probably Peggy last week of she had a movie that was good, but probably would have been it would be extended. And that's kind of where her thought process. She's right. This is a tough choice. Joe, yours, additionally, if you added one extra character, one extra friend to maybe to someone that would maybe disappear while they're all together, and then it can maybe explain a little bit more, like she shows up or he shows up turned into one of the animals to help explain, because Garth is right. I didn't really understand why they were all animals. You made a little bit of an idea, but I feel like that's hard to bring up in the movie. If you would have done something like that, maybe that would have helped explain it. In the end, really, guys, these are great. These are really tough, and Peggy's right. This is a tough choice. Whoever I pick, it doesn't matter. They're both awesome. I would watch them both. Garth, with you, I'm definitely going to go. I like your casting a lot. I think the casting's perfect. I can see every single one of them. Joe, Pete Davidson, he hits or misses. He's an interesting choice for it. There probably was one or two others I might have gone with, but in the end of all of this, oh crap. This has nothing to do with sequels or anything like this, but I kind of feel Garth's pitch just a slightly bit more, only because I didn't really understand what was going on with the creatures in it. It has nothing to do with the fantasy. I think your fantasy element is there, and the horror element. Joe, honestly, I love that movie. I think it's great, and I think it's brilliant, and it's definitely hits with the same themes as Hereditary and all that. The director would be great in it. Garth, I really like his. He definitely pulls a fantasy element. He's right. You don't need a lot of time in the real world if you can just have one or two magic things happen, and then they go in here and it creates a fantasy action epic. He created more of an epic. In the end, though, both great. Garth, I'm going to go with you on this one, but it is by the absolute slimmest of margins I can possibly imagine. This was by far the hardest one I've done. You both came with a great list and great stories. And I really want both of you on this again for a different topic and to try this again, because you guys are both really good.
Can I get a Christmas movie one when the holiday season rolls around?
What?
I love Christmas movies.
Oh, I hate Christmas movies.
Right, I'm going to try to make sure no one plays each other twice in this. Absolutely. You are on the list for a Christmas movie, because I feel like yours would be, I don't know if you're going to go horror with it again or whatever, but I'm intrigued.
And I'm open for anything. I wouldn't mind doing a classics with someone.
A classic.
Making a nice 30s, 40s type movie.
Yeah, a little noir kind of thing. Okay. Well, Joe, I want to talk to you first. Did you enjoy doing this? Did you have fun? Obviously you want to do a Christmas movie the next time.
Yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. I like it's a lot more low stress than the other debate leagues that are around, because there's no titles down the line. You're just kind of getting to pitch a fun movie. It was nice because I haven't really thought about writing movies since my screenwriting course. So actually sit down and just be all right, what do I kind of want to what would I want this movie to look like? And yeah, I see where you're coming from. At first, I didn't want any creatures. I just wanted it to be he could manipulate the fortress itself, but then I didn't know how that would translate. So I was I'll go with creatures. But I think if I had gone to he has he made a deal with where he can manipulate the fortress's appearances and stuff, it would have been a lot different. So, but yeah, I had a lot of fun with this.
Probably. Yeah, Hi Joe just really wanted creatures in there. But...
Oh yeah, Hi Joe just really wanted to see a raccoon human hybrid for some reason.
I get it, but pulling certain slate performers to play them would have been a brilliant move. That would have definitely created the realism there. Garth, that was a great movie. Did you enjoy this? Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Just wanted to, just kind of ending
it.
Yeah,
this is definitely a fun format, and because of the 5 minutes, it was funny because I was looking at my notes too long, and then I look up 30 seconds, and I'm like, oh no. And that was with me paring it down. I mean, I had a lot more detail written out as to what they encountered along the way, and so that was a tough one. Was I should have practiced beforehand, ideally, to see how long it took me to describe it out and cut it down, so I could have put more oomph in certain areas. And I really do love your idea. Add a character who's gonna pass away and show that there are stakes involved. That was something that Joe brought up. What if they keep getting healed and they keep coming back? Where are the stakes? So that's a good way to fix it.
It's easier for me to make up ideas because I'm just listening to you two talk, and then I can have things going in the back of my head. I didn't come up with a whole movie in the past 2 days. Guys, you guys both did a great job, and I really appreciate you coming on here. That was fantastic. I'm glad you both had fun. I can't wait to have you on again because you took this very seriously, and both of your movies were exceptional. Until the next time, Joe, I'm bad at this. I'm learning. Joe, Garth, really appreciate it. Anyone else out there that's watching or watches this later in the day, join up, try it out. There's no consequences here. It's just for fun. Come and have fun. Come try to see what you got. Because a lot of people here know movies and trivia, but you don't need to know movies to pitch a movie. Just come and show what you got. All right. For everyone else out there, have a wonderful rest of the night. Go Eagles, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.
Okay. Bye.